Jerem Jordan alongside Brian Logan. Okay, earlier this morning we talked to college football insider Brett McMurphy of Stadium Network. Brett McMurphy weighing in on all the things we've been discussing. Should BYU join a conference in the next 5 years? Will the Big 12 expand? Will BYU be involved? Here's that conversation. Okay, let's bring in America's college football insider on Stadium Network and friend of the program, Brett McMurphy, who joins us to discuss all things college football. And boy, is there a lot to talk about. Brett, welcome back to the program, man.
Thanks. I guess I need to clarify whether I'm North America's college football insider or South America's college football insider. But, hey, real quick, I was in Utah last month with my family, stayed in Park City, drove to beautiful Provo, saw the stadium, very excited to see the new video boards you guys are getting. But more importantly, I had some of the best chicken fried steak ever at Station 22, and then followed that up with some incredible ice cream at Rockwell. So hopefully they're friends of the program. But, yeah, the campus is so beautiful. I mean, I love Utah, and really nice weather up there. And the best part of it is I hit a golf ball further than I ever have in my life. So
altitude. Altitude is an amazing thing. Hey, Brett,
better.
Next time you're in town.
Every hole was like 90 degrees downhill, too.
That's crazy. Next time you're in town, let's have you in the building. Let's show you our facility here. So, yeah, let us know. That's awesome. Okay, so how would you summarize what the Texas and Oklahoma move to the SEC in 2025 means for the landscape of college football in the next couple of years?
Well, chaos, mainly because – you know, the expectations are that we're going to have 4 16-team super conferences, and the SEC was smart, whether you like what they did or not. And I'm an Oklahoma State grad, so I don't like what the future looks like for my university. But on the flip side, I see why they did it. Do you want to be the first to 16 and have the first 2 choices, or do you want to be the last to 16 and your options aren't so great? The question, and you may follow up with this, but the question that everybody wants to know now is, what's the Big Ten going to do? What's the Pac-12 going to do? What's the ACC going to do? Are they going to stand pat, or are they going to go to 16 or 15 in the ACC case and increase their membership? That's the conversations that all these conferences are having right now. They're talking to their TV consultants. I mean, if they haven't already, they're probably reaching out to ESPN and saying, okay, if we add team A, B, C, and D, how much does our TV rights change? Is that more money per team with 16 compared to 14 or compared with 12? And we'll have to see how that impacts everybody. But I think when we go, if we go forward 10 years and look back at this time, this certainly will be the tipping point and what I think will be the final round of realignment.
So, Brett, if you were, let's say, the commissioner of one of these conferences, and you were doing some consulting and you heard things from your consultants that you should pull the trigger and expand right now, would you do it right now, or would you wait and let the chips fall and see a little bit more of the details of the landscape before you pull the trigger?
I would do it right now, because if I can do it right now in your scenario, then I've got the next pick of available teams. Now, what makes that tricky is if, for instance, the Big Ten, if they want to add somebody, it's probably not likely they're going to grab from the ACC because they can't leave until 2036 unless they get out of their TV rights early. It's one thing for OU and Texas to get out with 3 or 4 years left. It's another thing when you got 15 years left. If I'm the Pac-12, maybe I would wait, because geography-wise, you're kind of hampered in over there. There really aren't – all of your candidates or all your possible expansion candidates aren't going to change, and it's unlikely that the Big Ten or the ACC would come west to grab your candidate, your possible expansion candidate. So just in general, if my TV partners say, if I add schools A and B and now I'm making more money per school, then I make that move right now. Well, I don't know why I would wait, because that may change, or your top 2 candidates may jump somewhere else or join forces with another league.
I love risk, Brett. And in risk, in Europe and parts of Asia, that's where the battlegrounds are, right? You can't really hold those for a round to get all these armies and blah, blah, blah. It feels like the Big 12 and the AAC is where the conversation towards realignment and expansion will continue. Obviously, reports came out last week from you and others regarding Big 12 AAC, ESPN, ... Where do you see the next moves happening? Is it in that space? And does BYU somehow get involved in that?
Well, it's not simple, but it's this simple. If the Big Ten, ACC, and Pac-12, do not expand, then the Big 12 survives. They'll have 8 remaining members, and then they have to decide, do we want to add 2 teams or 4 teams? Is that going to increase our value per school? Certainly their TV deal is going to be different without Oklahoma and Texas. If any of those other Power 5 conferences expand, they're likely going to pick off teams from the Big 12. If that happens, then it's possible whatever is left over would go to the American. But this myth or perception or whatever that's out there that the American is going to raid the Big 12 is simply not true. The Big 12, yes, OU and Texas are in there now, is $30+ million a year in media rights. The American is about $6 million. So if you're making $30 million a year, why would you leave that league to go somewhere where you're going to make $6 million? They're not automatically going to jump the $6 million up to 15 or 20 or 30. The question is, how far does that 30 drop without OU and Texas? I think the best chance for BYU, and it's funny, it's changed probably since the last time I talked to you, is if everybody stays the same. The power leagues stay where they're at. And then the Big 12 decides, you know what, we need to build up our conference. We're at 8 right now. We need to get at 10 or 12. And certainly BYU would be one of the top candidates. They have a national brand as far as television. That is important. Is it too far west for them? I mean, I think you throw geography out the window now as far as expansion. But I think certainly, they would have as good a shot as anybody. But, I mean, this stuff is so crazy. I talked to a Big 12 source a couple weeks ago. I said, well, would you guys go to 10 or 12 or even 14? And they're like, Brett, we may be better off staying at 8 because we could make more money per team in an 8-team league. And I'm sure you're thinking the same thing I am. How secure is an 8-team league? Probably not very secure. But, again, money drives this whole thing. And what each conference ultimately may have to decide is, if there's strength in numbers, do we go ahead and add schools for this added strength of having those schools, or even if it means we're going to make less money, we're still going to go ahead and do it because we'd rather have a stronger overall conference with more teams and maybe take a little bit more money than have more money and have less teams and then maybe be susceptible to getting picked off down the line.
Man, there's so many what ifs and different, scenarios and just chaos. And I love it. I love it because I don't like to wake up and really know too much of what I'm going to do or what's going to happen. I like just to be able to freestyle. And this is fun. It's fun. And also something that's really interesting or may become chaotic is the 12-team playoff expansion. With everything that's going on right now and how crazy it is, do you expect that the timeline for the playoff expansion to be postponed at all?
I don't think so. I know a lot of people right now are reacting and saying that, it's going to it needs to be pushed back. The Pac-12 commissioner said, hey, why was there only 4 people on the working group committee that came up with this? Well, that's what a working group is. It's not it's not everybody on board. You have to narrow it down. That's the recommendation they made. I guess one thing that could totally change it or delay it is if, my earlier example, if all the power leagues add teams and there is no more Big 12 in the very near future, then we go from 10 conferences down to 9 conferences. And so certainly they would probably change the qualification from the top 6 conference champions to maybe the top 5 and maybe add an additional at-large team. But again, they've said this isn't going to go into effect for 5 more years. I think they prefer to do it earlier than that, but maybe that will push back on it. And another thing is the ESPN factor. And look, you guys know I used to work there. There's a lot of people in college athletics right now that are not happy with the ESPN, and maybe they're wrong not to be happy with them, or they think something's going on that's not going on. The one thing that is 100% true is that if you do an early deal on the college football playoff before the current deal runs out, we've got 5 years left. That means ESPN is the only bidder. ESPN basically gives them an offer and they accept it. If you let it go play out through 5 years, then it's in the open market. Then you get other bidders. Maybe it drives the price up. Maybe it stays at ESPN. Maybe it doesn't. So there are people that are like, you know what? Why are we in such a rush? Let's let it play out so we can have ESPN bid against other networks and make sure we get full market value for the new playoff format.
That's a great point. We're talking to America's College Football Insider Brett McMurphy of Stadium Network here on BYU Sports Nation. Our question of the day, Brett, is this. Should BYU join a conference in the next 5 years? That can go all sorts of directions. What do you think?
Oh, man. I mean, it's easy to say if you take financial matters out of it, because obviously that's a big reason. I understand why BYU went independent, and that was the right decision to do that at the time. But literally after they did that, it seemed like everything changed. The value of being in a conference suddenly mattered a lot more. Obviously, Tom Holmoe's done a great job scheduling. I mean, it's amazing that he can get these Power 5 schools to play them. Going forward, is that going to be tougher? We'll have to find out. I guess my long-winded answer is, yeah, I would join a conference. I mean, I wouldn't run to go to the Sun Belt, but I mean, if you have a chance to go to the Big 12, you do that yesterday. If it's the American or the Mountain West, you're probably not as excited, but I guess it matters what else is going on in college football. The other thing is, and again, there isn't a right or wrong answer, but it's just your philosophy. So if you're BYU, let's say the 12-team playoff is in place and BYU is still an independent. BYU, to get in the playoff, has to be one of the top 12 teams in the country. That means they're competing with the likes of Alabama, Oklahoma, Ohio State, etc. Top 12 teams in the country. If BYU's in a conference, and all they have to do then is be better than Boise State, be better than UCF, be better than Coastal Carolina. Because if you're the champion of your conference and you're one of the top 5 or 6 rated conference champions, then you're going to go to the playoff. I think, and it's not a shot on BYU, because I think that the teams in the Power 5 leagues, like, go after the top 3 in each Power 5 league, the remaining 9 to 11 teams, those guys will never make the playoff, never, because they're in a power league. They've got to get in the top 12. And you know what's going to happen? Their fan bases are going to be furious because people in Tennessee or people at Oklahoma State or whatever are going to look around and say, we've never been in the playoff, but UCF's been, Boise's been, Coastal Carolina's been. We need a coach that can get us to the playoff. And I think that's an unintended consequence of this new 12-team playoff. So if I'm BYU, the access to make a 12-team field is easier by winning a Group of 5 conference than it is to be an independent and having to finish in the top 12 in the country.
Yeah, it's a great point. And as we discuss a lot on this program, it just depends what you want out of a situation. So if you want the playoff,
there's not a right or wrong answer. Right. It's whatever's important to BYU. I can't answer that. You guys have a better read on that than I do.
Yeah, all good. Well, Brett, we appreciate it. You're on vacation this week, yet you took some time for us. So thank you so much for doing that. We appreciate it, man.
You got it, guys. Thank you.